Hey, you crazy cats, welcome to Leaving Crazy Town, where we navigate the roller coaster of relationships, mental health, and personal transformation with humor as our trusty seatbelt.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and with my buddy Finn, we're here to share our real stories, expert insights, practical tips to help you break free from codependency, reclaim your life, and find freedom.
So whether you're wrestling with boundary issues, craving connections that won't ghost you, or just here for a front row seat to the wild ride of self-discovery, you've come to the right place.
So buckle up, we're leaving Crazy Town.
Hey, welcome to Leaving Crazy Town for another episode of Let's Ask Dr. Michaud, aka Sarah. So Finn comes up with these questions, or they get sent in, or people ask me, and we don't tell Dr. Michaud what the questions are. But we have 2 questions for today. Are you ready?
I don't know, but I'm just gonna say some prayers. God, speak through me.
Because
I'm frozen.
she doesn't know what she's going to get asked. All right, so Sarah, one of the things you always tell people all the time is just notice. So you want them to notice the experience they're going through. Now, I have found, and I talk to a lot of people about this, that they don't, one, they're not comfortable sitting with it, and they're automatically in like some PTSD mode, or as soon as they react. So for somebody who's new at, recovery and all these things, are sitting with themselves, they're no longer engaging in these activities to escape. What are some of the things that they can do to tolerate what's going on when they can't even identify it yet?
Wow, this is a big question. I'm just thinking to myself, what did I do to learn how to tolerate it? I mean, I think about the expression. I don't know if any of you guys ever read, there's a great workbook called the Anxiety and Phobia Workbook, and it actually has a lot more
Sounds scary.
tools in there than just dealing with anxiety. But it was one of these workbooks that was around when I first got sober. And the biggest part of getting sober, and I would say also with co-crazy behavior, is just learning how to identify, experience, and express your feeling states. And I think you're right. I mean, I didn't know what a feeling was for a long time. I mean, I often say that something would happen, and then 2 weeks later I'd be mad, and I'd be like, And I do think that's why relapse happens a lot of times, because people don't even know that a feeling
That's exactly how I felt. Like, yes. I was uncomfortable.
Yes, you're just uncomfortable. And just noticing that, I mean, we call it in the program irritable, restless, and discontent. And at first, you're just trying to not do anything. You know that old saying, it's not the feelings that will kill you, it's what you're going to do to quell the feelings that'll kill you, obviously using or picking up. So I think taking little bites and allowing yourself and getting skilled at, in the beginning for me, I just used sad, mad, happy, and scared, like literally 4 feeling states. Because, to get more nuanced about it, I think can be tricky. But I think just at first, because I think what happens is just being in dis-ease and uncomfortable feels out of control. So sometimes just identifying, oh, it's sadness. I actually heard the other day that someone relapsed and I'm sad about it. So I think the identifying of the feeling state can really help ease the anxiety, because I think free-floating anxiety is really when we don't know what the feeling is. And very often that could be anger, that could be rage, that could be grief, that could be a bunch of things. So identifying it, and then you're basically saying, how can we sit with it?
I know for me, like I did a lot of repetitive movements, so I probably looked like I had some serious issues.
Right.
But it's almost like self-soothing.
It was self-soothing.
And I hated that. My therapist would be like, self-soothe. And I'd be like, don't even, the word soothe ran up my backside like there's no tomorrow. But you also have to find what works.
Yes. Ways that help just kind of tolerate. And I do think having time, having a sponsor, having friends that can give you reality checks, like knowing, for example, feelings don't kill you. Just knowing that, repeating that, having some tools and some mantras. This too shall pass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all
Walking
these things.
helped me.
Yeah, physical exercise. I mean, I often joked in my early recovery that I used to go to 3 movies on a Saturday afternoon. And it's because I went to meetings all week, I worked all week, and I just got so overly, like, too much too quick that I needed to distract and get my mind off of the loop.
I gained 70 pounds.
Yeah.
I ate a lot of sugar.
Okay, there are obviously, I would say that's a way to not cope.
Yeah,
But, you know,
but
yes.
it's
But you're right, we do what we do.
it's good to be aware of it.
Yes. So the identifying of the feeling, the experiencing it as much as you can initially, and then, of course, the expressing it. I think the repressing of the feelings often leads to relapse, distraction, focus on something else, whatever.
I always tell people that are newly sober talking about, and I always remind myself to share, because when you've been in sobriety for a while and you have a life that's second to none, like people say, you talk about your gratitude and how grateful you are to be sober, that sometimes we forget how uncomfortable it is. And I try to remember to share that I am lucky to have the life I have today because I tolerated being uncomfortable for so long without picking up the first drug or drink.
Amen.
And then it got me to a place where I could start to recover in a different way.
Well, it's so crazy when you think about it, because life can be hard. And life could be, being a human being can be super uncomfortable at times. Like the unrealistic expectation of the 72 and sunny at all moments, because that's what I did when I was using. I just wanted to feel a certain way, basically numb all the time. And then we get sober, or we get in this crazy recovery, and we start, like we say, don't focus on others, focus on yourself. Well, when you start focusing on yourself, you're going to actually start getting in touch with, oh my God, I might have a lot of feelings I've ignored for a long time.
Oh, well, this is going to lead me into the second question.
Go ahead. All right.
We are running
we're running out of time. Go
So
ahead.
what would you suggest for someone who is starting to identify how they feel, maybe in a relationship, in a job, in a different scenario, in their family of origin, and realizing, hey, I don't like how I'm being treated or whatever, how to address that? Now, like, there are a lot of ways people go into escaping from the actual reality of what's going on. And what are some of the ways people stay in bad situations and escape that reality? And what are ways to get out of that?
That's such a huge question, Fen. I mean, that would require an hour session.
Right. Just give us the
all right. What I initially think is, I'm going to just base this on my history with patients for 30 years. What happens very often is this: someone will come in and they'll get sober, and after a while, they'll realize, oh my God, I'm in this relationship that I'm really upset a lot, and they don't treat me well, and blah blah blah. And what initially happens is they go into a panic that they now immediately need to change it. Yeah. And so what happens the following week, folks? They come in and they talk about how great their partner is, which is called undoing. It's actually a defense mechanism. It's like we acknowledge reality and then we can't tolerate reality, so we do the exact opposite. So what I would say to you is, if you're starting to recognize a relationship that doesn't work, is take a deep breath and say to yourself, this is going to be a process. I do not have to end my marriage right now, because people panic. Like, oh my God, I'm realizing it's like this and I got to take some action.
In early sobriety, I panicked that my relationship wasn't, like, I knew it wasn't going to go forever. And I took a lot of relief in early recovery, don't do anything.
Yes.
And then when I was 3 months sober, she broke up with me. And of course I was devastated.
Yes.
But I was very relieved. And they don't always do what you want them to do for you.
Of course not. Of course not. And again, I'm not suggesting staying in an abusive thing either forever.
Just saying,
but
give
I am
yourself
saying,
the grace.
Give yourself some grace, take some time, get some support and help. And it is like, I know this sounds crazy, but the freedom is in the truth and the reality. Because I've had other people I've known over the years that suddenly recognized their marriage was over and then they got pregnant because they didn't want to deal with losing the marriage, the stigma, all of that.
The story of how they view.
That's
I was
right.
listening to something
There's
recently
lots of
about
things people do.
how you create a story about how your life is going to unfold and how a
Yes.
death and divorce or any change in a relationship can create an overwhelming feeling of grief over
Yes.
the belief that you had, or you can have
Yes.
fear. I know I've been in financial insecurity before. Like if I break up with someone, how is
Yes.
this? How is this? Where am I going to live? You know,
Yes.
so those are really scary things,
Absolutely.
but they don't need to be addressed the minute you realize
That's right.
you don't feel
That's right.
the way you thought.
Give yourself some time and some space, but take steps also, because the truth will set you free. Okay.
Yeah,
Now
staying in.
I
the
sound like
truth
a
was like-
bumper sticker.
So staying in the truth
Yeah.
and not doing this like, dump, oh my God, freak out. Now I'm going to pretend
Go back into
everything's
denial.
Into denial. Denial is a killer.
Denial is a killer, maybe.
Yeah, so that's it for Ask Sarah today. If you have any questions, email us.
Put them in the chat.
Yeah, the
We're
chat's
leaving.
even easier. We're out of here, people.
That's your seatbelt. Thanks for listening to Leaving Crazy Town. We hope today's episode offered you valuable insights and tools to help navigate your relationship.
If you found our discussion helpful, please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. And share it with a friend. Misery loves company, right?
Stay connected with us on social media and visit our website for additional resources and updates on future episodes.
Until next time, remember that breaking free from codependency is a journey, and we're here to help you every step of the way. And hey, if all else fails, at least you'll have a few laughs.
So buckle up. We're leaving Crazy Town.